So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Eazy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homie Matt and I. Hope you enjoyed listening to us list off a bunch of things we enjoy the smell of. Got some good reactions from the people. Loved the participation as well from the listeners. So hopefully we can keep that going well into the new year and beyond. So now for episode 147 of Eazy Conversations. I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good day right now. I'm very excited for today's episode, Eric. You guys like the listing off of the last episode. We're gonna have another same thing going on for this one, listing off stuff. A little different though today. Hopefully you guys submitted a lot of good answers like the last one. Eric, why don't you tell the listeners what we're gonna be listing off for today's episode?
Definitely. So we're kind of following a similar vein that we laid out last episode, which, like I said, got a positive response. So we're just gonna keep it going here, taking it into an even stranger direction, in my opinion. So we're gonna be listing off things that we find oddly satisfying in life. So steering clear from, on my end, anyways, when I came to make my list of things that are fairly obvious in terms of things we enjoy in life, such as, for example, in my case, eating a nice salad. I'm a big solid guy, so it didn't include stuff like that in there. Watching a movie goes without saying. So really found some niche little pockets of things I personally enjoy, and hopefully there's some others who emulate those feelings out there. And Matt, we'll see what you think of the stuff that I've gotten put to pen and paper. But how is making your list before we get into it and start just firing these things off?
Well, when you first pitched the idea, Eric, I thought it would have been easier to make a list. I thought the list making would have been easy, but I struggled quite a bit because I wanted to stay clear of things that, like you said, most people find satisfying. So everything on my list, I asked myself, do some people find this really annoying? Do at least half the people I'm going to ask, would they find this thing or chore action annoying? So if that answer was yes, then I've added it to my list because I have a lot of weird OCD-isms. I've probably mentioned a bunch over the years on the podcast, but like I added a lot of specific things like that. Things that some people dread, I think I have some of those on my list today, things that I find satisfying. So, yeah, it wasn't easy to make, Eric. What about you? How was your list making?
Okay, so I think we may have gone in slightly different directions in our list making, but this is going to be great because there shouldn't be too much overlap, I don't think, in the stuff we've put together. Me, it was just like, there was a few things that quickly came to mind because I had brought these things up in conversation at work, and that's kind of where I spawned, the idea came to me of like, I like a lot of random stuff that's like, there's no place for talking about these things in conversation, so why not devote an entire episode maybe to letting these things shine? So mine are very, very specific and random things that, like I said, would most likely not come up in conversation when you're discussing either politics or your day to day activity. Want to give these things their proper chance to shine. Making this started off was kind of hard. I only had a few items, but then as time passed, I became more hyper focused on like, all right, how do I feel about this little thing in life? Do I like it, dislike it? If it was a yes, add it onto the list immediately. I had to write this stuff down because there's a lot of things I'm sure I forgot, but these 11 or so that I got down are, I just had to talk about them today. So I'm excited to see what you think of these things, and if anyone has comments on them, please let us know. But without further ado, this build up, do you want to share your first one, Matt, or do you want me to kick us off?
No, I'll start us off. Yeah, I'm very curious. I'm very curious to hear your list, Eric. After that, mine is more like, well, some of them are weird. Like this one might. Okay, my first one. I'm gonna stop rambling. My first one, something I find super satisfying, oddly satisfying, because not a lot of people. Anyway, we're gonna stop blabbering. First one, paying cash with the exact change for the item I'm buying. I find that
Okay.
very satisfying, and I don't think a lot of people do. I work in, like, where I work, most people pay cash in the cafeteria. I pay cash to, like, anytime I buy coffee, food, basically when I buy food, not like groceries, but food, I always have cash on me. I love, like, when I have the 190 for my coffee or the or then do something for my muffin, perfect change. Boom, get rid of all those nickels in my car. Very satisfying, Eric. What are your thoughts on this?
I like that pick, honestly. I never have cash on me. I'm always an Apple Pay, like just tap the phone, insert the plastic. Again, the only times I will have change is if in the car or if I have some in my coat that I haven't thrown on, like the winter coat or the fall coat when it comes back out, you're just going through the pockets praying at Christ there's some crack change in there. And then when there is, then you can use it for those situations. But and yes, I agree. It is satisfying when you have like your $1.05 coffee at McDonald's for a small. If you have the 5 cents, the nickel on top of the loonie that you typically do carry, because you only carry big figures out there typically. It is very satisfying to be able to be like, yeah, I got it all for you here. No need to receive change back too, which is nice. Andy is big on giving full change and I feel like maybe if you have like either a purse or a pouch that has change in it, it's easier to carry all of that cash. Like a standard wallet, mine anyways, I don't have a pocket for change. It's strictly dollar bills. But if you happen to have a bag like that on you, then you're good to go for those situations. But me, I'm normally either I'm breaking a 20 or it's like I said, virtual. But I agree that is satisfying when you're able to fully complete the transaction. Everybody's happy. Well, I don't know if the cashier is happy because then they have to put everything in the different little rows, but you're happy. That's all that matters, really. So I love that pick. All right. I'll go on to mine. This one is, I don't know if it even really fits the category, but I had to list it off. It's the first thing I wrote down. I'm a big fan of, and I think you'll agree with me here, Matt. Love seeing pantry items stored in glass mason jars. Like just whatever it may be, there's something I find visually pleasing about seeing rolled oats, chocolate chips, sun-dried raisins, what have you, flaxseed, or pasta, any pantry item just stored in organized mason jars. I just enjoy. It makes me happy. And I'm going to add something on top of that as well. A jar of jam that has a cloth under the lid and the jar of jam itself. I just find, again, visually pleasing, and I feel like the quality of the jam itself is going to be second to none. That's grandma's cooking right there, folks. I just am drawn to it. I can't explain it. And these are the kind of things that I have on my list to give a slight teaser. Do you echo some of these sentiments, Matt?
I think I'm gonna love your list, Eric, because I'm totally with you on the pantry. I have a half and half thing going on where some things are in jars and some things are not. What I put it like I have my rice in jars. I have like breadcrumb container one. I have a pasta one. Like I'm with you, Eric. I wish everything in my pantry could fit in those things. It just looks visually appealing. It's neat. There's not millions of shapes going on in there. We're all limited for space, right? So when it's neat and organized, some of the items on my list are about being neat and organized and tidy. So great first entry, Eric. I love it.
Love that.
Okay, this one, some people hate when this happens. I love when this happens. So my next one is waking up 1 minute or two before my alarm rings in the morning. You know why I love it? It's oddly satisfying because then I don't have to hear my freaking goddamn alarm, which I hate because it's the sound that I have to wake up to. Plus, I don't bother Mackenzie sleeping beside me. But I love, I check my phone, it's 5:29, perfect, a minute before 5:30, turn that alarm off before it rings, and I'm up, and I love that, actually. Some people are the opposite, they hate when that happens, but, yeah, waking up 1 minute before my alarm rings in the morning before I go to work. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, there's nothing worse than you're having a satisfying dream and then you just get interrupted by blaring that ringtone just cutting through your mind's eye and just ruining everything. 100%. That happened to me a few times this week, to be honest. I was in deep sleep. Alarm just ruined it all. But if it's a minute before, that's the best. Me, I don't love getting woken up an hour or 45 minutes before my alarm because then I feel like I have a hard time falling back asleep but there's so much time that I feel like I could get a solid nap back in, that then there's pressure to
Right.
fall back asleep. So I don't have to deal with all that. If it's a minute before, perfect. You just hit the silencer, kill the alarm, get up, and then off you go. And an alarm in general is just a bad buzz, and no, there's no positive way of spinning an alarm. Back in the day, I used to have like a song as my ringtone, but after a week or two, that song is completely ruined for you, not only for the moment of, but going forward. Every time you hear that song, it reminds you of that used to be my alarm song, you know. And I have literally have a few of those songs. I can never listen to NBA by French Montana and Joe Budden, if you know that song. That's just been tarnished for me, and that has been my alarm in, I want to say, 15 years, folks. So, or close to that. So yeah, I 100% agree. That's a great wake up before your alarm situation. Oddly satisfying. Agreed. So I'm gonna keep it moving with the same theme again. This, Matt, I think you're gonna agree with me as well, or maybe it'll spark. I don't know what kind of memories it'll spark, but me, I'm a big fan. It's gonna be a 2-for-1 here again. Vacuum sealed meats. I love when, or to be honest, any product that you find in a grocery store when it's vacuum sealed, like a cured salami, some sort of sausage, uh, lamb leg, any meat vacuum sealed, huge fan of. And then along the same vein, the brown paper that they use to wrap meat. I love that. Again, aesthetically pleasing. You just know the cut of meat is going to be superior as well. There's just, maybe it's a placebo effect, but as soon as you hand me a meat wrapped in that paper, I know I'm in for a hell of a meal. So again, that's kind of it on that. But what do you think, Matt? Do you agree on any of those points, or does it really not matter for you? Thoughts?
Well, I agree on everything, of course. I worked in a meat shop for 9 years at Farm Boy, and like, yeah, that butcher paper, when that steak is wrapped perfectly, like not a shitty job, but like wrapped perfectly like a gift, and you just know you're in for a good time. I also like, okay, the cryovac, like the vacuum sealed stuff. I love too. Your product lasts longer in the fridge. It's not like drippy and bloody like those plastic and styrofoam containers that you again have to throw out after, and it eats up so much space in your garbage or recycle. Um, I love getting roasts, like when there's big pieces of roasts, vacuum seal. I love that stuff, Eric. It's a shame when you got to break it open and portion and freeze it again. But I wish I don't have one of those, but I wish I had a little vacuum sealer at home to freeze like ground beef and stuff, like the little gizmo machine thing. I don't have that. I just do my best with Ziplocs. But no, because I worked in a meat shop, I'm a sucker for like a nice packaged steak or sauce, any meat, right, Eric? So
Yep.
again, this is the same theme as the pantry, right? Fridge organization, having neat packaged stuff. Stuff lasts longer, it's neater, it's cleaner. I'm loving this theme, Eric, you got going on. Good pick.
Thanks.
I'm going to go completely different route here. We've probably talked about this before, but I really this is not for everybody. Not a lot of people do this. I know you've done it recently, Eric. I'm pretty sure. But like going to the theater by yourself, to me, that's super satisfying.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm paying way more attention to a movie when I'm in the theater by myself. No one's distracting me. I've been doing this a lot in the last 10 years, just maybe not since I moved to Arnprior, but when I lived in Orleans, I'd walk to the theater a lot, watch a movie by myself, then walk back home. Super nice little afternoon there. It's just you connect more to the movie. Even a lot of the times too, the theater's empty when you go, like during those weird time of day, like in the morning, and there's just, you connect to the movie way more. I remember seeing La La Land by myself, and the theater was almost empty. It was a magical experience. I can name countless experiences like that. I mean, you've gone to the theater by yourself, right, Eric, in the last few years? Like, do you love it?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I go back and I recommend this to people. I listen to like our old episodes like randomly recently, and I listened to our movie theater experience episode a few weeks back or months back. And back then I said that I hated going to the theater alone. That was recorded like 3 years ago because I had only done it a few times, and my thought process was I always wanted to talk about the movie with someone afterwards. Which if you go alone, you obviously, unless you're sparking up conversation with goddamn strangers, you don't get that. But I went alone recently to two movies, like Anora and Wild Robot, and it's great for those kind of movies that you're not really sure who would be interested. You don't have to ask people who you typically go see other movies with. Like my brother, for example, I don't think he would have wanted to see Anora with me, so I just went alone. And it's great, honestly. Like, you go on your own terms. If you have nothing going on, like middle of the day, like you said, like I have a few hours to kill, let's just go to the theater and watch it with my landmark free movie. Not a big deal. I love it, to be honest. I like
Yeah.
both though. I do like going to see movies. Like I saw Gladiator 2 with my family a few weeks ago. A lot of fun getting to talk about it and see everyone's reactions. That I enjoy that, but for like a quick and easy, especially I feel like for the indie movies, going alone
Mm-hmm.
is such an easy play when you're not sure who to ask. So I would recommend it if anybody's kind of afraid of doing it, not sure what people are thinking. Like I don't care. You see a bunch of people in there alone too, right? So it's a lot of like-minded
Exactly.
individuals in those movies. So I love that. So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit here with my next few picks. This one's pretty simple. Maybe it's a childish thing to say, but for me, there's something satisfying about just walking through snow. Like snow that has not
Mm.
been walked through, untainted by mankind, just breaking through a light little foot and a half maybe of snow, feeling like you're on Hoth, bearing the elements and going on some sort of an adventure. If you're walking through the woods, getting some fresh air. I like just breaking through the surface, cracking the ice, if you will, which, as you'll recall, is a sound that I hate. But in this setting, I can allow it. And I don't know, there's just something whimsical about it. Walking through a fresh sheet of snow, and then the visual of, like I said, the snow that hasn't been walked on, and then turning back and seeing the path that you've blazed through. I enjoy. Any thoughts, Matt? Anything you can relate to there, or yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally relate to that, Eric. Last Thursday morning, we had the snow last Wednesday at the time of recording, and I woke up Thursday morning and I was like, shit, I have to like get out there and clear the snow. But it was like a fresh sheet. Like Mackenzie was long gone. Like no car had driven in a while, and like it was beautiful. And I stepped on it and like opened the garage, fired up the snowblower, shoveled a little bit. But like just walking on the fresh snow, like not
Mm-hmm.
even seeing my driveway anymore. It was all like a flat surface of snow everywhere. And even snow blowing, like the fresh snow was really fun actually. Like carving a perfect line, very satisfying, Eric.
Nice.
Something beautiful about it. Yeah, I'm freezing my ass off, and may or may not blew snow in my face because you know the way the wind direction changes, you got to keep changing your shoot location on your snowblower. But anyways, yes, I'm with you, Eric. Walking on the snow,
Love
very
that.
satisfying, especially when there's a little crunch, right?
Mm.
Like you're not walking on top and then you sink in. Really fun. Reminds me of when we were kids, right? You know, like it's very nostalgic.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, my next one, I'll do a nature one too. Like I used to hate this. Like I made fun of people who did this. Now I find it very satisfying, and it's very simple. It's going for a run.
Mm.
I love going for a run in the summer. Because I live in a country road, there's hardly any traffic at all. I can run on the road. It's great. I see a lot of like scenery, like horses and cows, like on my street, on the farms down my street, and it's really satisfying. It's not fun when you the worst part of like after I get past that first song, the first 2 minutes of my run, I'm good now. I'm warmed up. It's very satisfying when you're finishing your run. You know, you see the finish line and you just like give it a little more gas and you make it home. Love it, Eric. A great feeling, and then you cool off. But yeah, I'm a big fan of running. It's we've talked about this. It's good for your mental health.
Mm.
Clears my head. It's yeah, sure, it's good physical activity, but it's more to cleanse my head. Very satisfying. So yeah.
I'm more of a walker by trade personally. I feel like I've dabbled in running. I want to say last or 2 summers ago I gave it more of a go and I did enjoy it a lot, but it hasn't stuck with me yet, to be honest. I do feel like it's something I should really give a go at. Maybe summer 25, it's the year that I buckle down a little bit more and get into those laps. I've been just walking a little more. I get kind of the same feeling from as you there that you just described. I just went for a walk before doing this pod. Even though it's freezing out there, it does feel good to just get outside and
Yeah.
clear your mind a little bit, throw on some Mac Miller faces, and just let the good times roll. So, but like you said, I think running is the next step, pun intended, for me, and maybe I guess this summer I'll give it a go again. So, good pick. Um, Unintentionally just mentioned what another oddly satisfying thing for me is, very quickly. I'm a huge fan of the sound of the needle drop on a vinyl record
Mm.
player. Like that little, I can't even describe it. It's like kind of like a dusty, the tip of the needle just settles on the disc. You know what I'm talking about. It's like a cushiony kind of, it accepts
Yeah.
it. And it's
Yeah.
a split second. You blink and you miss it. But that split second, folks, let me tell you, I chase that feeling. And it's a sound I've tried recording on my phone just to use, and maybe not even on this pod, but you just can't capture it for some reason. You have to live it. And then also, it's kind of what it represents on listening to a record player on a vinyl on record player. The quality of the audio is better too. I feel like that's what they say, anyways. And yeah, that sound, I'm a fan of it. Matt, do you have any feelings on it? Do you care or not? What are you thinking?
I've honestly only experienced. I've never heard this sound in real life, only on movies and TV shows. But I
Mm.
love that sound.
Okay.
Hearing it in shows, I've
Yeah.
never experienced it live. Um, we just never had a record player growing up, or not. I'm not like one of those retro guys that are going to start collecting vinyl now and
Right.
having like it's vinyls can't come back strong, right? And I haven't dabbled into it, so I can't really. I've never heard it in real life, sadly.
Okay, but to
Yeah.
your point though about, let's say in a movie or TV show, this happens often where there's a reason I feel like that directors choose to be like, okay, now our character's gonna put a record on and we're gonna hear the needle drop. I feel like there
True.
is a movement out there of people. Maybe I'm just trying to justify my pick here, but there is something about, if they're choosing to include that in there, it's because there is some sort of an appeal to it. Now, this is what I'm asking you, Matt. Do you get anything out of that, like in a movie or a TV show when they're playing a record and you hear the needle drop? Do you like that sound, or you don't really care that much?
I like the sound, but I have no nostalgic attachment. I think like the people like my dad hear that, they're like, "Oh, childhood right there."
Yeah.
But me, I just like it because it sounds cool. No, I think it sounds cool for sure in movies. Like
Okay.
I like hearing it, but I have no like backstory or emotional attachment to it. Yeah.
Gotcha. That was it. All right, perfect.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I'll do a music-related one too. Then this one's really specific. It's when I pull up in my driveway and park my car, and the song I'm listening to ends perfectly in sync.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is what I strive for, Eric. I love this. I listen to a lot of music and podcasts on my long commutes to work and to go back home, and I don't know. To me, it's just like an OCD timing thing. Like I know the next time I turn my car on, that song's over. I'm on to the next one, and I like it when it's just timed perfectly. Now, one might say, Matt, why don't you just like sit in your car for 20 seconds, maybe end the song? I do that sometimes, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I'll finish the song because it's like in a good part of the song, and I'm like, I'll just wait in my car and chill for 2 minutes. But I like when it's timed perfectly. That's just a weird little. I don't know. Does that bother you, Eric, or you'll just listen to the rest of the song on your next trip? What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, I agree for sure that if the song ends right as I'm getting home, that's perfect. And if, like you said, if there is like 10 or 20 seconds left, I will just stay in there. Or if there's a specific part of the song I wanted to hear, I'll stay to listen to it for sure. Because then if I'm stopping it mid song, or like I'm just at the part that I like the most, I'm like, then you're the next time you're playing, you're like just hopping into it. It just doesn't feel right. You know, you got to get the experience that you wanted. And I completely agree. Getting that full experience by the time you turn the corner, pull up in the driveway, park, prime time. You don't have to spend, like I said, up to 30 seconds just loitering in front of your house like a moron. It's a, it's a great feeling. I agree. Great pick. Next one for
Thanks.
me. This is a sound that I feel like some people like and some people don't like, but I'm a big fan of both the action of and the sound that you get of a knife, sharpening a knife, or like the knife scraping on a surface, like over, let's say you got a nice crispy grilled cheese, or placing the knife at a 45-degree angle, just scraping off the top, just hear that swing, 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 whatever. You know what
Yeah.
sound I'm talking about. I love hearing that sound. Andy, not a fan of it at all. She doesn't like the knife sharpening. She is not for her. But I'm a big fan, so I make sure to do that when she's not around. And just in the kitchen, a couple of just down on the pole there. If you're watching on YouTube, you got to see that visual. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Big fan of the knife sharpening and then the sounds specifically. Any thoughts on this, Matt?
I love that, Eric. I would put that on my. I didn't even think of that, but I'm a big knife guy too because again, I worked in a meat shop and I have nice knives here, and I love sharpening it. I love that sound. 100% with you, Eric. I love chopping vegetable. That should have been on my list. Chopping vegetables. I like that sound on the cutting board, right? And I try to do like on TV with the chefs, like trying to cut super fast,
Same.
but I'm not there yet, guys.
Same.
Don't want to cut my fingers off. But yeah, I'm with you. I love the sound it makes. And then, like, I have a steel to sharpen my knife, and I love, I don't know why I'm doing hand movements. Most people are going to listen to this, but I love the sound it makes too, Eric. That's a very good pick. Yeah. Completely didn't even think about including it. Like, it didn't even pass through my head, so awesome.
Man, I do the same thing just quickly on the knife cutting technique. Like, going way too fast without the proper, like, I know you're supposed to put your fingers like inside on a knuckle and then just guide. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just cutting at a rapid pace, and there's a high possibility of disaster happening every time I do it. Like, there's carrots flying all over the place on the ground, Ovies lunging for celery. Like, it's just a mess, but that is satisfying itself. I 100% agree.
Oh, for Ovi, it's like a rainfall of veggies. It's free food.
She lunges.
I know you're supposed to move the vegetable, and the knife's not supposed to move, but yeah, it's hard to do. I'm not even there yet.
Yeah, no. Might never get there, but.
All right, this might be, I don't know. This is one where, like, maybe it's like, yeah, everyone enjoys that, but I know some people hate going there. So my next one is, I find it oddly satisfying going to the dentist. Specifically, I love when they take that little tooth scraper, the little needle thing that's a hook, and they scrape my teeth. Honestly, Eric, I get like goosebumps. It feels really good. Maybe everyone feels that way, but I know a lot of people hate going to the dentist. Now, of course, I hate when they catch my gum and it hurts like hell, but I love when they scrape my teeth. Very satisfying, almost like a massage for my mouth. And I've been going to the same place since I was a kid, and I know all the hygienists, and they're super nice. And, like, I feel very welcome going there. We're in and out in 45 minutes. I mostly, like, I would get an A+, no issues. So, like, I like going to the dentist and getting my teeth scraped and cleaned. What are your thoughts?
We were batting 1,000 up until now. I'm not a huge dentist. I mean, I don't dislike it as much as some people do. But for me, I'm just trying to get the whole thing over with, to be honest. My hygienist is really good. Like, she doesn't talk too much. I've had some where, like, they're just a chatterbox and want to know your whole life story. I'm just like, all right, let's get this show on the road here. But she's good, just a bit of talk. Anyways, but no, I'm not crazy about that myself. There isn't really anything of the dentist that I love. You got a tube in your mouth, like, all right, spit in here, like, you're just sucking on that. It's just like, I don't know, like, I don't get much out of it. Thank God the fluoride phase is done, where you have to either have a mouth guard in there for 60 seconds, felt like an hour holding that thing up in there, then you couldn't eat for an hour, I want to say. But no, the scraping, I will say, coming out of the dentist, you feel great because your teeth are looking brand spanking new. I love that for sure. When they do scrape the plaque, I guess, off there, like, overall, yes, it is good, but no, I'm not crazy about it myself. So, first disagreement of the episode.
Yeah.
But I like the pick though. Hey, if anyone feels the same way as Matt, drop a comment. If you're team anti-dentist like me, anti-dentite, let us know. And but all right. So, funnily enough, there's a bit of a comparison to be made there, but it's not the same at all. And you might think this is contradictory in that I said in the past that I hate the sound of crunching ice, or if you're walking on ice, I don't like that sound. But I get great satisfaction from scraping ice off my windshield, specifically when it comes off cleanly. I don't want it to be a workout doing this thing where it's like solid shut and I have to push like an animal, when maybe the heat's been going for 5 minutes, and then with one thrust like a nice sheet's just popping up. That I feel like is very satisfying when the sheet of ice breaks off. You can just smack it away with your hand,
Yeah.
and then you just work from the bottom and push up. That I love. Like I said, if you have to really, really, really push just to make a slight dent in, that is not oddly satisfying. I don't like that at all. When it comes off clean, I love that. Any thoughts on that, Matt?
I think that's another great entry, Eric, that I didn't even think about. Super satisfying when it's like butter, going through butter, right? Super easy, and you don't have to apply much force. I'm actually scared when I have to apply force because I'm like, I don't want to break my windshield, and I've seen that happen before. It happened to my mother, so yeah, no, very satisfying, honestly, cleaning your car window, like, after ice has been on it, even dusting the snow off, too, when it's, like, nice and clean looking after. I could have had all cleaning stuff on my list, by the way, and I refrained from doing that. I find that very satisfying. Yeah, good entry, Eric. I love it because it's not even something I thought of, and I agree with it, so that's awesome. So the next one on my list, it was gonna be, I took it off my list because a lot of people like mine is going to the barber to get a haircut, but I'm changing that to, because a lot of people like getting haircuts, but like, again, I find like it's like getting a massage, it's like an amazing head sensation. Anyways, I'm changing that to whippersnipping the grass, okay? Not cutting out the lawnmower, whippersnipping, because I have a lot of spots that the grass goes crazy, like around the trees and stuff, and when I like perfectly angle my whippersnipper and clear everything and I mowed it and then it looks bald out, like it looks like a golf course after, I love that feeling. I like doing the whippersnipping. It like sends vibration. I have a gas whippersnipper and it sends like huge vibrations through my arm and it like numbs my hands, and I'm doing this for almost like an hour and a half. It's kind of fun, Eric, I'm not gonna lie. And the feeling of like mowing down these areas that your lawnmower can't even reach, really satisfying, because the grass is super long, and then like, you just like destroy it all in one fell swoop. Really fun. And then I have my music at max level, so at max level when I have this thing on, I can barely hear it, so it's kind of like maybe I'm damaging my ears at the same time or whatever, but it's fun, Eric. It's you're outside in the heat, but like you're doing something enjoyable. You're just like you versus the grass, and I love it. I like doing the ride-on mower too, Eric. But whippersnipping is like giving my property a haircut. So yeah, it switched me getting a haircut to me giving a haircut. So yeah, that's my entry.
No, I love that pick. I love whippersnipping. It's unreal. We just got one either last year or the year before. I want to say last year, and it's been unbelievable to get to whip that thing out. It's like you're dropping napalm mortar strikes on your lawn, because if you get too low, it's like you're creating some sort of crater that if you don't know how to control that thing, you're causing irreparable damage until the grass grows again. But it's so fun to get in those little nooks right along the side of your house where your lawnmower's wheel is blocking off the blades from the blades of grass. I absolutely love doing that, honestly. It's you give your lawn a makeover with the lawnmower, and then you do the finishing touches, the trim jobs with the whippersnipper. It's unbelievable. If you're not on the whippersnipper game, you are missing out, and you are, for aesthetic purposes and then also for satisfactory purposes as well, I would recommend getting on that. We got the electric going out here, and it's just throw the battery pack in there and get cooking. But great pick. I love that. So mine, again, maybe a bit of a theme here, a similarity. Maybe people would be opting to use their whippersnippers on this if they were in this situation. I would not be. But I'm a huge fan of, again, I'm going to the aesthetically pleasing here, Matt. Stuff you see either in real life or in movies. Whenever I see it, I'm a big fan of. I love seeing it. I always thought I wanted a house like this, but turns out it's not really good for the structural integrity of the place. But vines on a house. I've always been, there's something about it that's just been attractive to me for some reason. Vines on a nice amber red brick. I love seeing it crawl up the place. It gives it, I find, some sort of, it gives it personality. It also gives it a older antique look. You know, there's been countless generations that have lived in there before. and it looks like maybe an establishment for learning, some sort of gifted school, a school for gifted children of some sort. I'm a big fan of vines on brick buildings. And then maybe it's even if you need an escape route for a fire or something, you just pop the window open, just crawl down the vines. I don't know. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you care for it? Do you like it? What are your thoughts?
I think I'm with you, Eric. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. I have no vines in my house, but every time, like, I think my parents had a little bit when we grew up, but it wasn't like, I know which ones you're talking about, like the nice, bigger, like you could almost climb down if you're not in an emergency, right?
Yeah.
No, I think they're very pleasing, and sometimes they build these vine like little side guides for the vines, like squares and the vines go around them and everything, or like even a vine garden where like the tomatoes are growing up. It's very satisfying, very aesthetically satisfying. Good one, Eric. I didn't even think to include stuff like that on my list.
And that's the
appealing
thing.
to the eye. Appealing to the eye, yeah.
I feel like there's a ton of stuff that we're both forgetting that we like. And again, there's never a chance to talk about these things, and that's why I feel like the most I could think of is just write it down and then throw it out here, see what you think as well. Am I crazy? But so far it seems like you're enjoying all these things too. So I wonder if everyone else feels that way. But anyways, moving along.
Yeah, it's making me rethink my list of. I went for more actions, but I should have went for more like appealing to the eye. But anyways,
there's no wrong answer.
Exactly. My next one, I'm gonna stick to doing stuff outside, but this, I'm telling you, I've seen this done in movies and TV, and until I did it myself, I'm like, oh my god, this is satisfying. It's splitting a log with an axe. Oh my god, Eric, you have no idea let's say you have a big stubborn piece and takes like 8 whacks, and when you finally hit the middle and it splits all the way apart, and I put a bigger log underneath, so like I'm hitting another piece of wood if I get through the first one. It's so satisfying when they both like go flying away, because you've split them so hard. Very satisfying. When I bought this house in Arnprior, like it came with a lot of wood already split and a nice fireplace. And then I had a bunch of like unsplit logs, and then trees and branches kept falling, or we kept cutting them. So I have to keep doing this every year if I just want to like burn through them and get rid of them. So it's really fun. Honestly, it's very physically demanding too. You get a core workout, arm workout, your legs hurt. I use my whole body. And when you do it in the summer, it's not a good idea because you get so hot. But when your axe hits the wood and it starts like splitting, and like you got it finally, Eric, it's like a victory. It's amazing. Great feeling. Makes you feel super manly and like a barbarian from the old days, you cut wood. I think that's what, there's something in me like that in all of us, like our caveman, Neanderthal, building fires, splitting wood, that's in us, right? So yeah, splitting wood with an axe, it's fun, really fun.
I feel like that's a healthy outlet for you to unleash that barbarian rather than going a more violent path that may affect. Like I love that, Matt. In a couple of years, you're gonna be looking like Captain America in Civil War, splitting logs with your bare hands. But I love that. I don't know if I've ever cut wood with an axe, to be honest. If so, it's been a long time. I don't remember. Maybe camping, like helping my dad out back in the day, but I don't have a specific memory, to be honest. Maybe like when it got smaller, like not the full log itself. Like if I was younger, like I'm not cutting, I don't think anyways. But no, that definitely does. I know what you're saying. Seeing it in movies and shows, like just that scene in Civil War, very satisfying to see it be split perfectly down the middle, and then you're making smaller pieces. Like I 100% agree. Then you get to make fire, which, as you all know, it's one of our favorite smells out there. If you listen to episode 146, so no, it's just a win-win-win for the barbarian output too. So. Love that pick, definitely. Mine, again, I keep saying there's a correlation between what you say and what my next one is, but there is a relation here where we're talking about wood, trees, which can be turned into what? Paper, which are part of what? Books. And the thing that I find oddly satisfying, or maybe it's just satisfying in general, it's when you get right in the middle of a book and you can hold it like so. If you're seeing on YouTube, I got a paperback book specifically, and then you can just hold it in the middle. It's perfectly balanced on either side. It's not like when you start a book up, it's all leaning towards one way, and you're like holding on for dear life to read the pages. You're like, it's a battle, and then it's the same thing at the end too. you're kind of falling back towards the beginning. It's like, oh, start me over again. But when you got a nice book, a paperback specifically, in the middle, you can hold it out with your arm outstretched, like one of the philosophers of old, and just go through it. I love that feeling. It also means that you're doing great progress in the book as well, which is satisfying in itself. But me, it's the action of being in the middle, perfectly balanced book, and yeah, just how the paper feels in my hand. I'm a big fan of. So, any thoughts on that, Matt?
Another great entry, Eric, that I didn't even think of. I've been actually reading a lot recently. Rereading actually books that I really love. I'm rereading them now. And one of them was a big paperback, and just laying it on the table without touching it, and it's right in the middle. I don't even have to hold on to it. That is what I love. But it doesn't last long. It only lasts for the middle, right? But I totally understand what you're saying. Everything you said made a lot of sense. Very satisfying, and it's not even affecting our lives all that much. It's just a little stylistic thing that's like, it's more annoying to hold it, and I know exactly what you mean. That's a really good pick, Eric.
Thanks.
That's like the definition of like what we meant by oddly satisfying. It's like, it's not going to change our lives, but yes, it's extremely satisfying when it's balanced perfectly. Great pick. Yeah, really good. My next one is, okay, I've been doing this for the past, since I can remember, really. It started with me trying to like get stronger, just like build more muscle. But what I find oddly satisfying, I do this every morning. I do push-ups. So it started with like when I worked out Farm Boy, I would wake up super early in the morning. Before leaving the house, I would do 10 push-ups. Now fast forward to all these years later, for the past maybe 3-4 years, I do 30 push-ups every morning. It's very satisfying because it like, if anything, I did this amount of exercises for the day, 30 push-ups. I feel great after I do them. I feel like I've warmed up my body, warmed up my muscles before work. On my days off, I do them like after I wake up, after breakfast. But when I have to go to work, it's like super early in the morning, pitch black. Sometimes I'll do them in the summer outside of my car. Like I'll do them outside, just super early in the morning, crush 30 push-ups. I feel like I'm building strength. I feel good about myself. I like to keep the streak going. That's honestly what it is, what's satisfying. A streak of like, just don't stop doing it, keep doing it. You know, when I go on vacation, I do it in the hotel room. Just keep doing it and keep the streak alive. That's what I find satisfying. And yeah, I just feel good about doing that meager amount of exercise, if anything, for that day, and keep that streak alive. Yeah, push-ups every morning.
It's a great pick, and it's like a pretty easy exercise to do if you don't have access to any equipment, right? Everybody's got, I mean, as long as you have the means to do push-ups there, it's an easy one to do. And you said, like, I feel like that's a great way to start your day as well, right? A little bit of exercise, get the blood pumping, the arms a little bigger, more confidence, and then get the coffee going and you're feeling good. So I like that pick. That's a good way if you're looking to get back into exercising as well. We know the holidays, it's an easy time to pig out, have a nice bûche de Noël or two. The tortillas are just flowing. So if you want to maybe feel a little better about the food you're inhaling, push-ups to start your day is a good one. So I love that, Matt. Great pick. I agree. I like doing push-ups, to be honest. It's a great exercise, easy one to do, and I've always been a big push-up guy, so I like that. Mine, no connection for the next pick, by the way, if you're wondering. So this one is, I added it last night as I was watching a show that I'm going to recommend later, but it's watching people in movies or TV shows pick up like a box from the archives that have files on like a murder case or something, and they're just collecting information and watching them go through folders, flip through the pages. There's something just appealing about those folders being flipped open. They're looking for information. There's like post-it notes. They're just shuffling through. I like watching scenes like that in movies and shows. But specifically what I want to highlight is the folder itself, that I don't have one. You know, I could have looked for one before this, but it's like just your classic little folder that you open and then you put pieces of paper in there. Opening that up and then rummaging through the file in the folder. I like that. And then again, that classic box that you see in the FBI files, rummaging through. Does this do anything for you, Matt, or am I crazy here with this?
I can't. I'm not. I'm with you in the sense that I love watching those scenes where they're doing the research and investigation,
Yeah.
and there's like a board full of pictures and strings tracing links together. I like that aspect. Um, I don't know if I find the folder itself appealing or the content, but I like those scenes in movies. I worked at my mom's accounting office for a year, and my job was to go through rooms like that and like scan stuff and it looked for stuff like that in those exact folders. Honestly, that was satisfying. I'm not gonna lie. So you're onto something there, Eric.
Perhaps.
When I physically had to do it, it was when everything's nice and organized like that. Yeah, very extremely satisfying. And that's going away too, right? With more digital stuff, but police files, old files, like cold cases, that will all be in like those banker boxes that you love. So I like it, Eric. I like it a lot.
It's a damn
would never
shame.
have guessed you would have had that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, my next one. Okay, this is one that's very satisfying on the road. You know, I'm driving home. This fucking asshole's behind me. All I want to do is pass this car in the slow lane. So I'm passing the car, and this guy's right on my ass. You know, like, buddy, I'm just passing this guy. So I pass the car. I go back in the slow lane. This guy rips by me. No idea why. You know, what's the rush? And then I exited. Then I'm on the 417. I exit an arm prayer, and I'm at the red light to turn left. And this light doesn't change very often. You gotta wait for a minute usually. And I see the same asshole in front of me waiting to turn left at that light. The guy that passed me 5 minutes before. I love when that happens, Eric. Love it. It's very oddly satisfying because you're not actually gaining off that much time going 140. You know, you're maybe saving. He's trying to shave like a minute or two. Well, that light was a minute or two, and I caught up to him. So it's very satisfying when I get good karma like that, where this guy was riding my ass. I'm actually now just behind him at the lights, and you didn't actually accomplish anything. So, yeah, that's very satisfying to me.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Like you're just like laughing to yourself at that idiot who, like, again is an ass to you, and then could be a danger to other people on the road too. And you're just like, man, like was that road rage worth it? And again, you in a sense get the last laugh too, where you went from being annoyed at this guy who's causing a ruckus on the road to now you're like, like you're in the same situation, buddy. Like, what are we doing here? I completely agree.
Exactly.
It is satisfying. I agree. I'm winding down. I only have a few left, by the way, and we're kind of getting to my last one's not the strongest there, but this one is when we're, I guess it's just really blending oats, like rolled oats, putting them in a blender and then watching them become flour in a sense, right?
Okay.
Oats, yeah. I don't know if you've ever done this, Matt, but just the visual of them going from whole flakes to a powdery substance. If anyone has done this before or has seen it, knows what I'm talking about. It's just watching them kind of blend upon themselves in some sort of a vortex, becoming a finite sand-like component or texture. I just find that very satisfying. It happens really quickly. Like these oats are not sturdy, right? It's a bullet that's really breaking them down. It's pretty quick, but just watching them fold upon themselves and then become a flour substance, I love watching that. Yeah.
This is one where not that I don't agree with you, Eric, I've just never seen it that I can remember. Maybe my mom has done that when I was young, but can't really relate to any of that. It is satisfying seeing like a larger thing getting grounded up into like a fine, in this case, like flour. So
Yeah.
it sounds really cool. I've just never seen it. So, but that's a good one. Another good culinary one.
Yeah.
I'm sure this list could have all been culinary stuff, right? Or kitchen related. But yeah. I'll just say one more because I have two left, but one of them is honestly, if I'm going to be honest here, I'm not going to steal it. It's actually a listener submission from a coworker.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to take it as mine, but in spirit of being honest, I'm going to shout out my coworker who brought this up. My actual last one is cleaning the drain in the shower. Super satisfying because my girlfriend, her hair constantly clogs the shower, and it's super satisfying when I clean it, but then put some clog master in it to like destroy everything in there. And then when I run water and it doesn't if the water goes down, flows normally and perfectly, that's very satisfying to me. Yeah, again, like it's like cleaning thing. I could probably this whole list could have been like me. I like cleaning this. I like cleaning that. I like folding. I like folding my clothes. I like doing this. But like, I'll just the drain, the clogged drain pisses me off, Eric. When I'm taking a shower and I'm building a bathtub at the same time.
Yeah.
But I love like unclogging the drain. It's very satisfying. Haven't had to do it for my kitchen sink yet, but for the shower, it's very satisfying.
Do you use like some sort of the tool has teeth on it, kind of? It's like you run it down the drain, then you bring it back up. Is that kind of what you use to pull the hair or whatever's clogging it, or are you just running like corrosive?
I use a coat hanger. I use
Coat hanger.
a coat hanger. But that tool sounds good because that tool, my coat hanger doesn't have spikes on it. But no, coat hanger, actually, that's a good life hack right there. It's really good to grab all the hair and stuff. And of course, I wear gloves. And
Okay, I was gonna
don't get
say.
grossed out too easily.
I was gonna say that's the thing I
but-
don't like about like cleaning the drain. I don't like because of that. Gloves or no gloves, just seeing the hair you're getting back up is kind of
gross.
nasty personally. So I don't find this satisfying. But the afterwards, when it is flowing smoothly, I agree. It is satisfying, the process, the outcome more so than the process in this case for me.
Yeah. But I don't mind the hair because I'm like, yes, I'm getting clumps out. I'm winning. I don't find it gross at all. But maybe I've been desensitized in the meat shop for my youth, like seeing raw and expired meat and cleaning stinks there with all sorts of raw meat in it. So I think I'm good now.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my last one. I don't know if you want to say your last one, Eric, or jump into some listener submissions.
Yeah, I just wrote one more down. It's in movies, really, like a well-framed camera shot I'm a big fan of. So specifically in a Wes Anderson movie, for example, where the scenery kind of just all fits on the screen, where things look miniature, and when in fact it's large buildings, for example, and then you're seeing movement on the screen, everything's in there. I don't know how they do that. I guess it's maybe the wide lens or something that they use, but I'm a big fan of. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's just when everything's wide on the screen, you see everything well, and it's kind of a 2D look to the shot. I'm a big fan of that. I know you know what I'm talking about, Matt, but that's the example I'm using. Wes Anderson, well-framed camera shot.
He's one of the best at doing it, Eric, and there's a reason why people love his movies. He's like a master. Visually, the movies look amazing. Look at the Grand Budapest Hotel, right? Like just it's not even it's the colors, it's the set design, and I love it. You're like, why don't more people do it? When you see that, you're like, why don't more people do this? Well, it takes a lot of effort, guys. I'm a big fan of like steady cam shots where the camera's like not moving and it's like going through basically long steady cam takes like a Goodfellas, where it's like you are right behind our characters and you're just following them and there's no cuts in the action, long takes like that. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great pick.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can go in listener submissions. Got a decent amount. So the first one was from the homie Hip Hop Fiend 85. Should be coming on the podcast shortly. He submitted the sounds of hockey sticks clashing on the ice and hitting the puck. Just picturing like in Mighty Ducks, like the puck, the sticks, the wooden sticks hitting each other, the puck on the ice, the passing sound of the ice moving along the ice. I completely agree. Obviously, a big hockey guy, so I would agree with that. I'm sure you do too, Matt.
That's a great submission. Yeah, I just came back from hockey and heard all those sounds, and it's freaking awesome. So great submission, Brandon.
Great pick. The next one was from the homie Justin Mocktinger. He submitted finishing your work right as your day is over. So similarly to the song ends when you get home in the car, as soon as your day is done, you're actually done your work. So initially I read this as your work day is over, and I'm like, of course you're happy because you're done work. But this, I think he means specifically like you had a task to do, you've done it, and now it's the end of your day, which doesn't always happen. I feel like there's often maybe you got 10 minutes to kill before your day is done. I do agree it is satisfying that you had a task, you complete it, and then it's like, oh, it's 4 o'clock, at 3:59, I'm out of here. You can leave with a clean conscience as well. I agree.
It's a good one. I don't experience that where I work now because when my shift over, people replace me and everything keeps running. But when I was at Farmboy, it's like I have to complete all this production of chicken, traying up chicken on packaging up chicken basically, and I only have till 8 p.m. to do it because that's when my shifts over, and I want to leave on time. So it can be stressful not finishing your tasks. But I like when everything lines up too. Yeah, that's a good submission.
Another good one. So the next one is from the homie Jeff Lavoie. He submitted milk in glass bottles. So similarly to my pick earlier about the mason jars and maybe the grandma's jam with the cloth over the lid, a traditional milkman's milk jug in the glass bottle that you're being delivered. There's something appealing about that, perhaps. Matt, any thoughts on the glass bottle, milk bottle?
I think they're visually cool looking, and like the pour, like it's much better than a carton or a bag, and it looks cool, and like it just holds better, right? Probably stays cold better too, and the lid's always cool. So, I mean, if they were the same price as buying the bags, I'd be going jars all the way. But like, it's just not as practical for space in your fridge, right? So, that's a good one. I'm gonna buy eggnog soon from Farm Boy, and they have the really nice milk glass jars for the eggnog. You can return them too for a disc for like some money back. So, I'm a big fan of glass jars.
Yeah, no, I agree. Glass jars, they're just like you said, it feels like it's a superior cut of milk, and it brings you back to a simpler time, maybe the countryside. Perhaps it makes you think of those days, like maybe Inglorious Bastards opening scene. There's an association to be made there. I don't know, but all right. So the next one is from both. So my friend Steph submitted this, and I know Andy's a big fan of this as well, so I looped her in here too. Pimple popping. I am not a fan of this personally, and I feel like maybe I don't know. Anyways, I don't know, but I'm not a huge fan of it personally. But I know Andy's a big fan, and Steph submitted as well. So yeah,
I'm so with you, Eric, on this. I don't understand this fetish or love of pimple popping. Like people at work are like that too. They want to pop it. I'm 100% with you, Eric. I don't see any appeal.
Yeah. No. I'm not a fan. But anyways, to each their own, and it is popular, right? Like the Dr. Pimple Popper, those are videos I will never be watching on YouTube, but some people eat that shit up, so to each their own. So thank you for that. And then you said, so that was it on my end. So you said one of your coworkers had a submission?
Yeah, I have a couple actually. My mom texted me just quickly because she thought she missed the deadline. She said like doing taxes to her is oddly satisfying because she gets to help people, and it's a set of skills she has. She feels like, because it's all like crunching numbers, and when everything balances out, like let's say each side balances, there's no like discrepancies in a tax file or case, that's very satisfying, she said, when the math adds up, basically, when the accounts balance and helping people. So that's my mom doing taxes. So basically her job, she picked the right job. She finds it very satisfying to do. So gotta love what you gotta do for work, right? Okay, this is a weird one that I was gonna steal, but honestly, it makes me look like an alcoholic if I submit this. But one of my coworkers, Danny, does this a lot, especially in the summer, and he's like, he was shocked when he learned that, like, oh, you don't do this too, man? It's called a shower beer. You basically have a beer within arm's reach when you're taking a shower. You have it like hanging on one of your shelves or something, and while you're showering, you're drinking a beer. He says it's great. It's a great feeling on a summer day after work even. And I'm like looking at him like, I don't see any, like, I like drinking and I like taking showers. So I was like, okay, I'm going to maybe try it next summer. But drinking a beer while having a shower, he was shocked that I've never done it. Is that something you've done, Eric, like a shower beer?
Shower beer is a thing. I've done this so many times. Like a shower beer is a classic. I feel like it's one of the times that you'll have you're dusting that beer too. Like I don't know how long your showers are, Matt, but I guarantee you by the time your shower is done, whether it's long or not, your beer's done too. So it's a classic. You just like hop in the shower and just crush that beer. It's definitely a thing. Like even after hockey, sometimes if some guys have beers in the locker room, shower beers, it's a thing for sure.
It's a thing.
It's a satisfying beer, not gonna lie. It's up there with like golf course beer, airport beer. Yeah, shower beer is a classic. I would agree.
I'm glad I brought it up. I'm glad I brought it up then. I just missed the boat, I guess.
I mean, hey, it's never too late, right?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna do this now.
Yeah. No, that's a great pick. Danny, love it.
Just gonna Danny. He has this like when I said I had a podcast with my cousin. He's like, "What? You got to get me on this podcast!" Like he was all excited. He doesn't know how big or small it is, right? And then he had all these requests for like food items like in the green room before the podcast. I'm like, no, we don't record like in one big room. He thinks like we're like one of those big like Joe Rogan things, right? Where everyone's in the. But anyways,
Maybe one
he
day.
was very excited to learn. Yeah. So maybe
Okay.
one day we'll have him on. Actually, just throwing that out there.
Okay.
I just told him you have to have Facebook with Messenger, and he doesn't have that. So that's like strike one on. You gotta get on that, and then record your own audio. But anyways, that's all background stuff.
All right.
Do you want to jump into some recommendations?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been it's been a bit since we recorded our last pods. I've been consuming a lot of different meat. I'll just start with what I have to my left that I brought as a visual prop for one of my picks,
Ooh.
which is the book I'm reading right now, Heir to the Empire. So it's part of the Grand Admiral Thrawn trilogy written by Timothy Zahn. So I've been crushing this book. It's very, very easy to read. It's set after Return of the Jedi, so I kind of thought going in that this was going to be a Thrawn origin story trilogy that we'd learn about how he rose through the ranks of the Empire and became a Grand Admiral. But we're just throwing in the mix here that the Emperor's dead, Vader's dead, but Thrawn is trying to keep the Empire relevant and regroup their forces so that they can return to the power and prowess that they once had. And it's been really, really fun to read. You got not only Thrawn in there, but Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, the whole gang are in here.
Damn.
And have chapters devoted to what they've been cooking up post win of the war over Endor. So it's cool. You're getting some New Republic stuff as well. The government being reformed after all of this, and you're kind of seeing where they're struggling and where some sects are vying for power. And then anytime you spend time with Thrawn is just a treat because he's always 2-3 steps ahead. And I'm just loving learning more about the lore, and I'm looking to get the second book after this and then the third. And there's also another Thrawn trilogy that is more recent. That one I think is probably more going to be in line with what I thought this was going to be. But I'm liking this post Return of the Jedi trilogy. So I definitely recommend, if you want to learn more about Grand Admiral Thrawn, Heir to the Empire, great, great book. I'm almost done, and I just started it like last week. So it's a page turner for sure.
I'll have to check that out, Eric. I've read a lot of Star Wars books, and I haven't read one that I didn't like. So this trilogy I know is widely regarded as like it's pretty much canon almost now by now, right? Like it's very highly regarded. So have to check that out.
Yep.
I'm just crushing old fantasy books myself, but won't mind getting. I actually added a couple sci-fi books to my Christmas list, so I'll be talking about those next year after I read them. Stuff that you hear about for years, you just never read it, and I'm finally going to read some of these so-called classics. More on that later, though.
Okay, cool.
The first thing I'm going to talk about is a show you recommended, Eric, last time. We haven't talked in like 2-3 weeks, you and I, so. But I crushed Disclaimer.
Nice. What'd you think?
Very, very. I loved it because the acting was great. The storytelling and revelations through the episodes really shocked me. Actually, I didn't try to figure this one out. I wasn't like, okay, what's gonna happen? I thought it was a very heartbreaking and intense conversations and stuff going on with Sacha Baron Cohen's character and Kate Blanchett, their marriage and dynamic, like very heartbreaking stuff going on with them. Very emotional show, honestly, Eric. Vicious at times, and you don't know who you're rooting for at first, but then more stuff comes to light. I like the flashback aspect too. Very intriguing show, and very easy for me to binge. Basically, what I was going to say. Like I crushed the show in a week. Very compelling. Looked cool too. I like the little like visually how it looked too. You know, with the flashback stuff. it poses the question, like, on narrative and storytelling, on memories, like how the reliability of them and stuff like that. I don't want to spoil the show yet. Maybe we'll talk about it for the TV stuff. So, yeah, disclaimer, I recommend it, guys. It's really good. Good recommendation, Eric.
Love that. Super happy to hear that you enjoyed it, Matt. When you say you weren't sure who you were rooting for, do you mean more between either Sacha Baron Cohen or Kate Blanchett? Please, God, don't tell me you're ever rooting for Stephen Brigstock, that psychopath. But if so, I mean, that's just a testament to how well they made it be a kind of a gray show where you don't know who wronged who. I hated him the whole time, personally, but
Yeah, Kevin Kline's character, I kind of, only for a little bit was I like fully behind them, but then you quickly realize what's going on, and like, even though this happened, you're like, this is like a merciless like revenge taking too far. So yes,
yeah.
I'm more talking about the Sasha and Kate Blanchett dynamic thing, and there's stuff with their kid. There's honestly, we could talk about the show for 30 minutes because there's a lot of like questions I would have for you, and
Yeah.
what would you do in a circumstance like this? There's some really good stuff in the last episode that Kate Blanchett tells her husband, and really hits you hard. Like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Anyways, really good show, thought provoking.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
No, the ending was crazy, and anyways, again, no spoilers. But I was gonna say maybe your a fish called Wanda bias was showing there with the Kevin Kline, but
100%.
anyways, no, I'm glad you liked it, and yeah, no, great show. I mean, I think Kate Blanchett is gonna be a favorite to win Best Actress in a limited series. I think obviously of the two I've seen, it'll be between her and God, what's her name there?
From which show?
Kristen Milioti, but we'll see. From Penguin.
Okay.
Kristen Milioti.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, no, good stuff. I love that. So I'm gonna go with the show as well that I've been watching. I'm almost done 2 seasons already. It's on either Disney Plus or Crave, wherever you want to watch it. Called The Americans. Have you heard of this, Matt?
Oh, I have. Never watched it.
Great show. Like really good stuff. So it's basically set during the Cold War where it's all spy based, right? Like it's military, the Russians and the Americans at war with each other. There's KGB spies impersonating or acting as American citizens, gathering intelligence on FBI agents, trying to find out what their plans are against Russia, and then you're following an FBI agent for the most part against the Russians. There's a political dynamic in there. There's interesting characters, lots of betrayal. Again, some people being played by the FBI, others by the KGB. It keeps you. This is a thinker for sure, and there are a lot of characters thrown in the mix that you're kind of like, okay, how does this person fit into the bigger picture? Got to be following along, and so far they haven't steered me astray. I'm a big fan of it. It's starring Kerry Russell and Matthew Rice, I believe is his name. They're a married couple. They're both fantastic in this. Kerry Russell's a force so far. I had only really seen her in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. So I haven't really given her the chance to show off her acting chops, but she's so good in this. And relatively unknown cast as far as I'm concerned with everybody else, but really enjoying it. 6 seasons of this too, so this is kind of making some 2024 content fall on the back burner because I've really just been binging this, but really enjoying it, Matt. Definitely recommend The Americans.
Yeah, I remember when the show came out. My dad's actually watched the whole show and always used to talk about it. Like, I know the premise. That's all I know. I know, like, the setup. That's all I know. My dad loves the show, and he's always telling me how great the actors are. I'm a big Kerry Russell fan. She's been in a couple movies I like. But yeah, no, it is on Disney Plus, I remember, so I'll have to add that to the list. Because I do like always having an old show on the go, right? So, perfect.
Don't worry, when I'm done with this, I got Justified, I got The Shield. They're up next, Matt. I'm on to the old stuff, the Matt picks from the when we did our TV show Giraffe. I haven't forgotten.
That's right. Yeah, I like just getting the back catalog out of the way, right? The so-called classics.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna jump into a movie that I just watched. I watched this with my mom and dad. Actually, I went spent a night with them during my work week, and we watched We Live in Time with Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. It's a romantic comedy drama about their lives. And Eric, it was a really, really good movie. Came out this year. This movie just highlights Florence and Andrew's like great acting capabilities. A story that you've seen before, but it's not done in a, you know, it's done in a more realistic way. It's not like sappy or anything. It's more realistic and true to life. They're not gonna like they're not gonna use cheap tricks to try to like get you to react a certain way. This movie is done really well. It's a relationship movie at the end of the day. And it's really good, Eric. Easy to watch. You know, I think you and Andy would really like it.
Okay, nice.
We Live in Time. Yeah, it's emotional. It's a good movie. Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh do a phenomenal job in the movie. It's all about like they're in every scene, right? So good little romantic comedy drama.
Two great actors. I mean, I've wanted to watch it. It's been on my list for this year. I missed it in theater, so hopefully it gets on some sort of streaming platform soon that we can throw on one night. I love that pick. Glad to hear you liked it. And yeah, I mean, don't have too much to add more than that, but it's definitely on my radar, and maybe I'll get to watch it before we do our top 10 movies of 2024, and maybe it makes an appearance on there. Who knows? So love that. I'm going to keep the 2024 train rolling here. 2 movie recommendations. I'll start with one that's on Prime Video. Pretty easy watch. My Old Ass. It's a movie starring Aubrey Plaza and newcomer, I believe, Maisie Stella. Or if anyone's familiar with the show Nashville, which I am not, but she is in that show. And it's essentially about this girl, Maisie Stella, who turns 18 years old and then takes this ayahuasca-esque substance with her friends one night in the woods, where she hallucinates and sees herself at age 39, played by Aubrey Plaza, and they just talk about where her life goes. And she's obviously freaking out about what's happening. She obviously keeps coming back in the movie later on. It's not just one scene, and our character's not just always sipping this mushroom tea, but it is an interesting dynamic where she's asking her questions about like, oh, why shouldn't I do this? Why should I do that? Blah, 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 blah. And it had a lot of heart and a lot of very heartwarming moments, I found. Pretty funny, too. I feel like it maybe at times I wanted them to really lean into the comedy more, because when it did, it was cooking. But it's not one of those laugh my ass off all movie long movies there. I don't want to set that bar too high. But I found Maisie Stella fantastic in the lead role. I feel like with kids, it's kind of hard to find a good lead. She's like probably like 20 years old there, but young actress, let's say, who has a lot of charisma, good line delivery, and you're interested in following her journey as she's 18 years old. And another thing that I liked a lot about this is that it's set in Canada. It's around the Muskoka area. So they're making a bunch of references about Canada and going to U of T. She's like, yeah, I'm moving to Toronto. I'm going to move away from the farm. Cool. All of that. Like, I really enjoyed all of those references. A lot of fun. Like a 90-minute movie, easy watch. Would recommend. It was a fun time. Good movie.
Yeah, I saw the ad, like I saw it on Prime, but I'm gonna add it to my list now after hearing you talk about it. It seems right up my alley. Easy watch, cool setting, a lot of good dialogue. So I'm gonna add it to my list, Eric.
Yeah, poses questions about your maybe kind of living up to family expectations, spending more time with your parents and your siblings who you're maybe not close to. So I like a lot of the ideas that they presented in this coming of age movie. I mean, that's right up our alley.
Well, everything you just said may be describing the next movie I was going to talk about. Were you going to talk about this one too, Eric?
No, you can tee it up. Though. You can tee it up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So 2024, the movie called Didi, D-I-D-I, coming of age movie of a Asian American kid who's in going into grade 9. It's like the summer before grade 9, maybe. He's living with his mother. We don't know where the dad is. Well, the dad's not there. He's got an older sister, and the mother-in-law's living with them too. And it's honestly, everything in this movie, when I'm watching it, I thought it was going to go a different way. This movie was not predictable in any way to me. Like, I thought Didi he was gonna. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe this is super realistic because a 14-year-old, like, you don't know what the hell he's thinking or why is he doing these stupid things. He just wants to fit in at the end of the day. Anyways, I love this movie, Eric. I thought it was a cool little drama, minimalistic movie. Not much happens, but there's a lot of good parent stuff going on there, or sibling, him and his sister, him and his mother, how the mother's even getting berated by their mother-in-law, and like little cultural things like that I really liked in the movie. Were you frustrated by Dee though? Like every time the guy's like a loser, right?
I was literally gonna say, I was almost screaming at the screen to this moron. I'm like, dude, stop lying, don't do this, do that, and he would do the opposite. It was every single thing I wanted him to do, he went a full 180 on it. It was in that sense it was a frustrating watch, but in another sense, like you said, it wasn't predictable. It wasn't doing the easy thing that we hope he does, and maybe in some cases doing the right thing and maybe doubling down and doing the wrong things. I like where you could not predict everything that happens in this movie, even if you're a movie savant. They took you in a lot of directions, but for the most part, I enjoyed what they did and how fresh it was, and like you said, realistic. A lot of characters were I found very annoying, but there were a lot of very funny moments too. I'll say I think this was a funnier movie than My Old Ass overall. Like when they're watching the skate videos and like all the kids are in Dee Dee's room and they're like, oh, I want to see that video of me juking out the officer. I'm like, that I knew exactly what I was going. Like, no, that's not gonna be what they're all thinking it's gonna be. I found that scene hilarious. But yeah, Dee Dee, agreed, could be perceived as a loser for sure. But again, he's just trying to find himself and is trying to see what do I have to do to fit into these social settings that I'm not really seen as a cool kid. That's all he wants. So there's definitely some relatable stuff in there, and they presented those ideas in an original way, I found, which if I'm looking back, comparing this to a mid-90s by Jonah Hill, I feel like things maybe went too easily for the mid-90s kid in that he was the man with these older kids for some reason. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I like that those movies, you definitely can't say that they're a one-to-one comparison.
No, that's very good, Eric. I agree with everything you've said. It's more realistic, this movie, that not everything's sunshine and roses. Like, he goes through a lot of trials and tribulation. It's not necessarily the ending, too, that you think when you're watching this movie. I find the language, too, really authentic. Like, I don't know how grade 9s talk now, but I know, like, this was my era, right? With, like, the MSN chat thing he had going on, and that's what I like. The movie took place more like what I relate to. So, yeah, like skateboarding was huge when I was in grade 7, 8, and 9. Huge at my high school. So, no, I a lot of stuff I related to. Great little movie. You know, these are movies that like those little indie minimalistic movies. Love that stuff. Movies like mid-90s or DD. Really fun to watch.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna save what I have for movies and TV for like our those respective episodes. I've been listening a lot recently to Kendrick Lamar's GNX, and that really is a fantastic album. All his albums are, but like I've been listening to it a lot, Eric, and like I'm really warming up to it. Like it's a great album. Did we talk about this already or no?
Nope,
I don't remember.
No, we haven't.
I feel like the album dropped the day after we last recorded.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan. It's a fantastic album. I mean, we're doing our hip hop episode next, so we're not gonna have to wait too long to talk about it. Maybe in the episode we'll have to wait a bit, but it's definitely gonna be talked about for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm a big fan for sure.
You know, after we recorded last time, like a couple of great albums on that Friday, in my opinion. Ice Cube and Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. Kendrick was a surprise too, so that was nice.
Boldy James and Harry Fraud as well. Check that out. The Brictionary, if you haven't, would recommend. But yeah, no, there's been good stuff lately for sure. I feel like we're getting some good content near the end of the year. Similarly with movies too. There's a lot of stuff in theaters that I'm looking forward to going out to see. Nosferatu getting rave reviews. That I'm pumped to see that. a complete unknown, I think is what the Bob Dylan movie with Timothy Chalamet is called.
Yeah.
So I'd recommend those two preemptively. Maybe there's another one, the Lord of the Rings movie. I'm seeing mixed reviews on that, but I think that
Yeah.
I'm hoping anyways that it's just haters of if anything deviates from what they want it to be, kind of like Rings of Power was. So
Right.
I'm excited to see that movie still.
Yeah. This could be the Chalamet year, like a banger at the start of the year, a banger at the end. Like
Hmm.
he's taking over Hollywood.
Yeah,
Love it.
he's getting a lot of praise for the Bob Dylan portrayal. So I don't think, based on what I think recently, there've been Golden Globes or something have been announced, and Dune kind of got snubbed on a lot. I think it only got nominated in two categories. So again, it's like we talk about with Penguin, they're not really recognizing Dune as a movie as a serious acting category for example, Austin Butler, Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, anyone else in there as well. So it's too bad to see. I feel like for technical it could have gotten more love, but even at that, they're opting for movies like Emilia Perez. I want to say is a movie that got a lot of props. Anyway, I don't know, but whatever.
That's such an that's an award bait movie, Amelia Perez. I did like it, but it's super safe pick. Like it's got a lot of themes that are relevant in today's society, so it's like the super safe pick.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I'm not seeing the
yeah,
greatest reviews on here from my
yeah.
people, so
Dune Part Two is so much better than that movie, but yet it's the little like the movie with the political stuff that will get mentioned. So, yeah.
anyways.
No, I'm very excited, Eric, for what we have coming up. The end of the year grind, basically, and then the three top tens. Best part of the year on the podcast, in
Mhm.
my opinion. I love doing those top 10 lists.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
same.
I like listening to them. I like doing them even more. So I'm very excited for what's to come.
Yeah, same here. So yeah, those are our next three episodes lined up: hip hop, TV shows, and movies in that order. So just be prepared for that. This will be dropping, I mean, before Christmas there. So I mean, we're pretty much wrapping up the episode there, but stay tuned for that. So yeah, Matt, any final notes for the listeners?
Once again, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for submitting those answers to Oddly Satisfying. What do you find oddly satisfying? Hope you enjoyed listening to our entries. Hope you're having a great winter right now and a good festive season. So, yeah, thank you.
Well said, Matt. Thanks a lot, everybody, for listening. Stay tuned for episodes dropping every 2 Mondays. Enjoy the holidays if you're taking time off. I hope you get to spend a lot of time with your family. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And yeah, I mean, an episode will be out before the new year, but peace.